Hey, hey. Welcome back, guys, to Sip with Joy, a show about a girl, her wine, and her feelings. And I am that girl. I am your host, Joy M. Hutton, serial entrepreneur and lover of food and wine. Y'all know that part already. That's why it's called Sip with Joy, okay? So, welcome. Hey, Galactos. We are at the season finale, guys. I'm on my second season. Now, listen, I don't know how long I can keep this up, but you all make showing up every Monday so much easier because, listen, podcasting is hard. Hey, Samson. Hey, Tiffany. Podcasting is hard. Like, a lot of people get into it, and some people don't make it past, like, 5 episodes. I've talked to so many people who are like, oh, I used to have a podcast. I used to do this, used to do that. But it's hard because you have to produce the content, and if you producing your own show and editing and all that, it's a lot of work. So I appreciate you all for showing up every week and supporting me because listen, I could be talking to two people, but I'm gonna show up for those two people. Hey, Elsie. So I appreciate you all again for rocking with me and with Sip with Joy for all my podcasts. And so yeah, this one is more personal to me, so it gives you guys an opportunity to, see another side that's not about dating or whatever, even though I talk about dating because that issue is real and it is very much a part of my life because I am still very much single. So it is definitely a part of who Joy is. Thank you, LB81. It is definitely a part of who I am. And yeah, this gives me an opportunity to show up as Joy M. Hutton. M may stand for MF Hutton, so it can stand for a lot of things. But yeah, so I am drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon today, and shout out to my content strategist Rachel. She gifted me this wine that I'll talk about on the sip of the day. I'm so proud of her though, because this is a good wine, and she does not drink wine. I'm trying to get her into wine, just ease her into it because she just turned 21 and she's like, oh, I don't like the taste. So we got to ease Rachel into wine. So thank you, Rachel. This Cabernet is actually pretty good. So you and Will did a good job. All right. Hey, Lizzle. Hey, Robin. Hey, Lee. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. So yeah, today's topic, guys, it's gonna be a deep one. And one of the things that I promised to myself about doing this show is to show up authentically as myself, and that's the only way I know how to show up. But when you have so many things, so many outside things, and so many people with their own opinions, sometimes people kind of dim their light. But this, again, is the opportunity for me to show up as myself and be transparent with you all about a lot of the things that I have been going through. Will, hey, Will, Lush, yeah, I love my wine, okay? So today's topic is, how about a round of applause? Because we made it through season 2, y'all. This is the season finale. So I want to talk about overcoming obstacles, forgiveness, and what's next for me. All right. So yeah, this has been a year. I don't know about y'all, between this time difference that threw me all the way off. Not or the time going back, it did not feel like this last year. Like, it feels a lot different to me than it did last year, and in other years and subsequent years. So between that, the pandemic, just all the violence and all the craziness in the world. And just for me, like, the last 5 years alone, I'm like, you know what, Lord, I'm gonna need you to give a sister a break. So for me, like, the last 5 years have been tough, but they've also been transformational. And in the midst of everything that I've been through, I try to find lessons and also see what's on the other side of it. So when I went through my divorce, that's part of this 5 year cycle. I separated from my ex in 2017, and I thought I was going to lose everything, my business, because it took me 2.5 years to get away from that man. And that's a lot of time and a lot of attorney's fees. But outside of the material things that I lost, my confidence suffered. I blame myself because I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, but when you go through a relationship and you look back on that person, you're like, how in the hell did I end up with this person? But my confidence suffered. I blame myself, and so I've been on a continuous journey to rebuild my confidence and heal from the wounds of that experience. And I'm in a good place now, but it's one of the reasons why I talk about therapy so much, why I'm an advocate, because at times we think we can do things alone and push through, like, I'm gonna be strong, I'm gonna be, all this and whatnot. But we absolutely cannot do this life by ourselves, especially when we've gone through something so traumatic. We need a healthy outlet. So, when I got to a place where I was healed from my divorce, and had a sense of peace, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this thing called life. Then my sister passed. And so, this completely set me back. And when you go through trauma, sometimes your faith wavers. And I know for me, me and God had some real conversations. I was mad at God, and I was angry for him taking my sister. And I still don't understand, and I don't think I will ever understand why it happened. And I just started to question a lot of things. I questioned so much in my life. And if you've ever been through grief or any other traumatic experience, you've probably done the same thing. And in the midst of grieving, and having to live my love life publicly, when I did the dating show, which that was a choice that I made. But when you couple that with having to live such a traumatic event out publicly and then try to deal with that grief in private, that's a lot, and so it created a bit of a whirlwind for me, and not really having a moment to decompress from those experiences. And so it's just interesting when people see me out, or they see me on social media, and they just assume that life is all good, And I heard a reel a few months ago where she was like, "No, I'm not coping," but really, you are. You kind of have to. People ask me, "Well, how do I do it?" And how do I manage, showing up? And really, the answer is simple: I have no choice. You have to cope. You have to keep moving forward, because life is going to keep moving with or without you. I watched Gian Cole's special on Netflix, and he lost his mother last year, and he was just talking about, how he's pretty effed up over it. And he said, he's a comedian, and he's like, I have to come out here and show up for people. That's my job, and I love my job. But at the end of the day, it's some people going through some stuff, and pay attention to those people, and show up for those people. Because a lot of times, like, people just go about their business. I talk to people about this all the time, about grief or whatever the case may be. And I want to be clear, like, grief is not just death. You can lose a job. You can, grieve a lost relationship, grieve loss of money, okay? Because there's a whole lot of people getting laid off right now. And those people are going to be going through some things. I had a friend that worked for Twitter, and she was not one of the ones that got laid off, but I checked on her, because I'm like, hey, I don't know what's gonna happen with you, and hopefully you don't get laid off, but I'm just checking on you, because that's a lot. Losing your job when you think you have a safety net, losing somebody that's close to you and you think you have a safety net, it's a lot. It's an adjustment. I grieved my divorce. I grieved being in that marriage, because that was a part of my routine. So he talked about that, and we just have to show up. You get 5 days bereavement leave on a regular job, and then as an entrepreneur, you can take that time off, but do you really have the luxury of taking that time off? Not really. And I think I told you guys in one of the earlier episodes how like a day before I was my sister's service, I was sending a client email. I was trying to put out fires with a client. Like, that's crazy. And I should have set those boundaries, which I'm learning to do now. Like I said, learning lessons as I go through these things, but I should have set those boundaries because people don't care. They want what they want when they want it. And yeah, like I said, life will go on with or without you. Oh, thanks, Lizzo. Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you, Robin. Love you. Tiffany said, I feel the same after losing both of my dads. I had to get myself out of my darkness to be there for my husband and children. And lastly, myself. That's the other thing, too. Like, I don't even have children. Like, I couldn't imagine, you have to show up for your family, your spouse, your children. I know people who've lost a parent and they've been married. That's a lot. And then the spouse didn't necessarily understand what they were going through. So, woo, y'all, grief is a lot. And like I said, it comes in different forms, but just going through shit in general. Like, life is not easy, and I think, sometimes we don't give people grace for the things that they're going through. And especially if someone's your friend, I realize who my friends were and who they were not because the people who showed up for me. I'm like, wow, especially when you're the type of person you give and you show up for others, and then when you need people, they're nowhere to be found. And so I realized, oh, so you were just around me so I could be your concierge for food and be your concierge for wine and what have you. It wasn't about the friendship, or you're around me because I'm affiliated with XYZ. And I had to realize, like, okay, well, shoot, I might just have, two friends, but that's just the reality. And my dad always says, you're lucky if you have two good friends in this life, maybe even one. If you have one, you're even lucky. But I try to be optimistic. I try to be hopeful about, friendships and whatnot. Lydia said, this is so true to my life right now. Behind the curtain, this has been a hell of a ride. I know. I'm sending you such a big hug, Lizzle. But yeah, when we are in a dark place, we have to find some healthy coping mechanisms. Because y'all, I'm telling you, without therapy, without a support system, thank God for the friends I do have around me. I would be sitting in the dark under a blanket, and if I didn't have Gigi, she's back there. But if I didn't have Gigi, I had to get up and walk her, I would be in the sunken place. But I have had to, you have to pull yourself out of those dark times. And so for me, I think it's not being afraid to ask for help. Like, if you need to call somebody and lean on them, lean on me, do what you need to do. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I think a lot of people just suffer in silence, and that is not okay. You're eating yourself alive inside. And then take a step back to reflect on the good and bad, and it's okay to sit with those feelings. Like, I'm not always okay, and I tell people when I'm not okay. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I said, do you really want to know? Like, when somebody asks me how I'm doing, if you don't care, don't ask me how I'm doing, because I'm going to give you the real response. Today is not a good day. But it's we've been taught to ask that question, and I'm like, are you asking because you want to know, or are you asking because you care? So it's a lot of things that people do out of habit, and it's not really genuine concern for the other person. So I'd rather people not ask me how I'm doing. Just say hello and keep it moving. Because if you don't really want to hear how I feel, don't ask me. Let's see. LC said, after losing my mom and sister last year, months apart, grief just hits out of nowhere. Absolutely. I can be on the phone with tears streaming down my face. Yes. Yeah, I tell people all the time, grief is like, you like schizophrenic out here. One day you're laughing, one day you're crying, one day you're sad, one day you're mad. Like, it's a roller coaster of emotions. And then another thing too, if you've gone through a bad relationship, despite that outcome, you have to learn to forgive. That is the only way that you are going to heal. When I decided to forgive the things that transpired between me and my ex, I was no longer angry. I released that angry out because, you ready to bust her in the head, okay, when you see him on the street. But I don't feel that way. And I was like, in order for me to be in a better place, I have to let all of that anger go. Hey, Marcy. Yes, she said we can't control other people, but we have control over our response. Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. So I felt stuck for a long time and still do at times because I'm human. I have real emotions. My fear of not knowing what will happen, in the future, living life without my sister, something happening to my parents. I like Dion said, you get into that 50 club and your parents, start passing. Like it's real. And my parents are all I have. I don't have any more siblings. My sister that passed, she was my only sibling. So it's a lot. So it has become a daily practice for me to show gratitude for the things that I do have, for the people that are around me, and find moments of peace. That peace is becoming so important to me. Listen, if someone is not contributing to my peace, you gotta go. Things or peace. So it's got to go. And then you also got to hype yourself up. Some days I want to throw both of my businesses away. I want to throw everything away. But I keep reminding myself that my life is so much bigger than me. I return to my why. And I think a lot of the times we have to do that. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever job that you have, returning to the why. Like, why are you doing that job? Why are you showing up? There's something that keeps you going. So I think about what keeps me going. And so cheers to tooting your own horn. Take a drink on that note. Cheers to tooting your own horn. And like I said today, I'm drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon today. Compliments of my Rachel, my content strategist. And then the other thing too is let go of the people and things that don't serve you. I've lost a lot of friends through my transitions. When I first went through my divorce, I think I've told you all how my married friends didn't want to, hang around me. I'm like, I don't want y'all husbands. You don't even want them. I definitely don't want them. So, and then when I went through the passing of my sister, and it happened at the same time as me being on the show, so people were more interested in talking about that than me going through my grief with my sister's passing. And I'm like, yeah, no, because if it happened to you, then you would want to talk to me. I had this girl who unfortunately lost her brother, but when my sister passed, she never reached out to me. And then when her brother passed, she reached out to me wanting me to give her advice. And I'm like, I'm still going through my grief. How can I support you in your trauma? And then not only that, you didn't contact me when I was going through mine. So I felt some type of way about that. And other people have done that too. Like, you didn't reach out to me, but you want to have this collective grief experience. And I'm like, no, because I was there for you, or if the tables were turned, I would have been there for you. And yeah, I'm just not going to call you when I'm going through something. But there are people like that. They don't know how to respond unless they're going through it themselves. And I'm not that type of person. I'm an empath, so I feel all the things. Oh, Elsie, right. They were probably not my friends. And yeah, I did find that out. Marcy says it's called peace or out. Peace or peace out. Right. So yeah, but I have forgiven those people and I have left them where they are because I ain't got the time. All right, or the energy. All right, so we're talking about forgiveness. So what the sip is about Chris Brown. So we all know Chris Brown has had incidents with Karrueche and Rihanna with the domestic abuse, but he was invited to perform at the AMAs, and then they just revoked the invitation, and they said for unknown reasons. So he ended up winning an award, and Kelly Rowland, who is a friend of his, and she is also a victim of domestic abuse, she received the award on his behalf. And, there were people booing him and what have you. And the thing is, like, listen, people make mistakes, and I have been in an abusive relationship, so I do not support or condone domestic abuse. I'm just not with it. But I think he has evolved as a person, and then for them to invite him knowing his past and then to just revoke it, I thought that was wrong. So my point is just about forgiveness, and it's like we forgive a whole lot of things, and you know he's human. He's human, and I pray to God he has evolved as a person. You haven't heard about any other incidents, but you want to hope that he's grown, he's gotten help, for the things that he has done in his past. But the past does not necessarily define the present or the future. Hopefully he has evolved. But people ripped Kelly a new one for defending him, and like I said, she has been a victim of domestic abuse, and I'm sure she has had some real conversations with Chris Brown, and other people have too. So yeah, forgiveness, and you have to put people where they are, because like I said, I've been in an abusive relationship, and clearly I'm not in it anymore. So you got to move on. All right, so I'm gonna open up the line. I don't know what was going on with my phone last week, y'all. Y'all didn't tell me you couldn't hear the caller, so it might happen again today, but we just gonna do it real I don't even know. I don't even want to call it ghetto style, because we just gonna improvise, okay? So if there are any callers, you can call in at 713-396-0277. And while I'm waiting on a caller, I will get into some questions. All right. First question, are you and Jay still friends? And the answer to that is no. I don't consider Jay a friend. Next question, is your podcast Beauty-ish returning? And for those of you who don't know what Beauty-ish was a podcast I was doing with my best friend Lydia. She's in the chat. And we did 65 episodes. So if you want to go and catch up on past episodes, you can go find Beauty-ish on all podcast networks and binge and laugh your ass off. So we are wanting to return, yes, next year, but in a different format. So just stay tuned for that. We're trying to work it out. We got life be lifing, y'all. So we got to get past life, 2022 life, and hope that 2023 life is giving a lot more. So yeah, we do want to return. Let's see. What does a day in the life of Joy look like? Chaos? No, I'm just kidding. No, I run two businesses, so I have to split the time between both businesses, my consulting business, Joy of Consulting, and On the Go Glam. But Joy of Consulting is pretty much on autopilot, and I have clients that I take calls with, and On the Go Glam, that's my baby, that's 2 years old, so that takes more of my time. So whether I'm on client calls, I know people be thinking I'm out here in these streets, but I'm really not. When I'm out in the streets, it's when I'm traveling. When I'm in Houston, I'm at home. Like, I keep telling y'all, I'm not out in these streets. I'm just now starting to get back out because I had just isolated myself with everything that was going on, and I just needed some time. And my whole circle has changed too, so that also is a reason why I'm just like, I'm selective about where I spend my time, who I spend my time with, and yeah. So I'm working, sleeping, working and sleeping. That's pretty much it. And I actually don't drink wine every day. Shocking, I'm sure, but right, life is definitely life. Yeah, I actually don't drink wine every day. I drink wine for Sip with Joy, and then I'll drink my wine occasionally during the week if if it's been that type of day. And yeah, I may do happy hour with some friends or whatever. So yeah, we have a caller. All right, I'm just gonna put it on speakerphone, okay? Hey caller.
Hey Joy, this is Tiffany. How are you?
Hey Tiffany, my boo. Hey girl, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
That.
Yes, I did. I commented on your post.
On Wednesday.
Yes.
I'm excited. New chapter 48
Okay.
coming, and got things going
Yes.
for the upcoming year, for sure, for sure.
Yes.
Girl, you hit, I'm going to say, and it's interesting because I know you talked about people having one perception of who you are based on the TV show. And I will have to say that obviously is what introduced me to you.
Yeah.
But then I was your avid watcher of Beauty-ish.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got to know you and Lydia on different levels of, sometimes funny, sometimes serious. And the entire time I was going through a lot of the stuff that you were going through.
Yeah.
With the grieving, my dad passing in 2019, my stepfather passing last year.
Yeah.
Losing major friendships that were 30 years old. And, just deciding like, I feel like once you have that type of death that impacts on your life, there are certain things that you just are not going to put up with anymore or be so lenient about anymore because time waits for nobody.
Yes.
And it's important to treat your people that are important to you well. And one of my biggest lessons that's been real hard for me is learning to forgive when the other person isn't even sorry.
Right.
And they don't even take accountability for what they've even done. That has truly been my entire, journey.
Yeah.
And trying to let it go and not, because I feel things deeply too. And I try to put on a brave face and give a lot of advice to other people, but it's not reciprocated the same.
Oof.
And,
yes.
That forgiveness part is hard. Hard. But you gotta do it because you can't hold on.
Right. And you won't heal. You won't heal from it. You'll just be mad, and that anger is just gonna eat you alive.
Yeah, and that really isn't cute. I've gone through that with my husband, and if it wasn't for therapy, we still wouldn't be married.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to forgive him and let it go. I thought that was going to be the hardest, and it actually wasn't.
Yeah.
It was that friendship that I had for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
That was like a sister to me, and it's like, well, wow, this is like a whole other depth. But the person could actually pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
But, the realization of, okay, well, I guess I'm not important enough that they're actually going to call. All that is very hurtful, but I've kind of gone through similar, not quite journey with you. So I applaud you in it, and I applaud you with being, very transparent.
Thank you.
On a social platform, because at the end of the day, you're definitely helping others that are going through the same thing.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Tiffany. Oh. Yeah. Don't make me cry, Tiffany.
Yeah. I'm holding it back myself.
Right. I'm like, listen, we not going, no tears today, okay? No tears.
I don't mean to make you cry, but we got to be encouraging to one another. I've always said you and Lydia are my best friends, that y'all don't even know me.
I know, right, BFF? Yes, I love it.
But I look forward to seeing you. I hope to see you back. I hope to see y'all back.
Yes. We will be back. We will be back.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So
yes.
Keep doing you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
All of it, it'll fall into place. That's all good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye.
Man, like Tiffany said, with taking or being the advice giver and being the helper, like I'm a fixer. Clearly, I'm a consultant. I help people with their businesses and all of that stuff. That's what I do. But I've had to learn I can't fix everybody. And the other thing about that, like with change, especially when you're wanting someone to change, two things have to exist. You have to have the willingness to change and the capacity to change. So that's not going to happen if if both of those do not coexist together. It's not happening. Like, I mean, I sat in therapy with my ex, and it can't be one-sided. Like, I'm doing this, you're doing this, we both have to be doing the work. So, and even in friendships, like if you're not doing the work to make it a fruitful relationship, it's not going to happen, and eventually it's going to die. So, I it's my nature to want to help people. Even my therapist says that, I should have been a therapist because I just have that nature about me. I love helping people, but I also have to remember, what does joy need? Because one of the biggest lessons that I learned out of my marriage, and like I said earlier, finding the lessons and seeing what's on the other side, is that I lost myself. I say that I was a little girl, now I'm a grown woman. But I had to go through those things to reemerge as the person that I am today, because I lost myself, and I can't blame it all on my ex-husband, because I allowed myself to be consumed by someone else's needs. So I wouldn't say that, but I have to show up for joy. I have to do what's best for me. um, LC said, I can definitely relate to she's talking about Tiffany. What Tiffany was saying, I think I can be angry when I think about some things, but just no longer want to be bothered. Absolutely. Hey, Kay. I do not help businesses with marketing, more so operations, putting systems in place, training and development, HR related stuff. So I know people think I'm marketing, but I really am not. Maybe I missed my calling on that, but I can do my own marketing. But please don't hire me to do your marketing, because I wouldn't say that I could do that. But yeah, so being an advice giver or not, but we're guilty of that. We can give advice to everybody else and we don't take our own advice. Why do we do that? I can tell everybody else about their business, and I need to do stuff in my own business, which I am taking the month of December to do the things that I need to do. Okay. All right. What was the other question? Oh, have you ever thought about your own show? Well, I consider this my own show, but as far as a network, I don't know. If someone wants to pick your girl up on a network, sure thing. I always imagine myself being like a host on The Real or something like that. I like talking to other people instead of just being by myself, because I told you all when I first started this podcast, I was nervous about having a solo podcast and just talking to you all. Because I got to be able to engage with people. So fortunately, you guys engage with me. But if I was just sitting here just talking to a screen and nobody was there, that would be difficult. So I appreciate y'all showing up for your girl, because this was definitely something I was nervous about. So yeah, I don't know what my own show on a network would look like. Honestly, I don't know. Because I could talk about a lot of things, y'all, but I'm really not sure. So, okay. So I always say this to you all, but, oh, well, what's next for me? I am doing my very last Google workshop tomorrow. So if you want to attend, come to that. It's virtual. You can find the link in my bio on my Instagram, on my personal Instagram, at joy_m_h. It is the end of an era, because I told y'all, I gotta take things off my plate and focus on the things that I want to focus on. And I've been so grateful to have that opportunity with Google. I have served over 3,000 entrepreneurs with over 100 workshops. So it's been an amazing experience. But I need my time back, and I want to help people on a different scale. And I'm still doing business coaching, free business coaching through Axion. So if you look up ACCION Coaching Hub, you'll see me on their page. But yeah, I still help businesses out that way, and you can actually get a free coaching session with me with Axion Coaching Hub. But anyway, so I'm involved in a lot of stuff, y'all, but I gotta take some stuff off my plate. So so that's what's for me. I'll be returning January 9th with Sip with Joy. So I'm going to take the month of December off. And guys, we're going to have guests on Sip with Joy next year. So I know you guys have been asking about guests. So I'm going to line up some guests to talk about some real stuff. Now, I don't know how real y'all want to get, okay? Because I'm thinking about having a sex therapist come on. I'm going to have a relationship therapist come on. It's going to be a lot of therapists because y'all know this is about mental health and wine. The show probably should have been called Mental Health and Wine. Mental health, relationships, and wine. But yeah, I want to get into some real topics. So, like I said, I don't know how real y'all want to get because I'm bringing that sex therapist on. We're going to talk about some things. So, okay. But I always say this to you all, really take care of yourselves and do not assume that the people around you, the ones that you think are strong, are okay. And strong people don't always want to be strong because I know I don't because your girl be tapped up. ACCION. So yeah, I love helping people, but Joy also has to take care of herself. And so yeah, like I said, people want to. I help small businesses through things like the coaching, not through my regular business because I ain't got time. Love y'all so much, and I will be back on January 9th. Let me know what y'all want to see in the future because listen, I'm showing up for you all. I'm showing up partly for myself, but I'm also showing up for you all so that we can talk about things that are plaguing us or that we're just thinking about, real life stuff. So DM me on Sip with Joy or on my personal page and say, hey Joy, can you talk about this or whatever? Send me those questions, all that good stuff. And I will see y'all next year. I can't believe it'll be next year. I miss you so much. All right, y'all. Love you. Thank you so much for supporting Sip with Joy. And I will see y'all next year.